we are going to move to Natalie Russell, Senior Manager of Fund Development at ALS Canada, and her presentation is ALS Doesn't Stop, Neither Did We, How COVID-19 Helped Us to Challenge the Status Quo in Community Engagement. Natalie, we look forward to hearing from you.
Hey everyone, I'm Natalie Russell. I'm the Senior Manager of Fund Development at ALS Canada. Welcome to ALS Doesn't Stop and Neither Did We, How COVID-19 Helped Us Challenge the Status Quo in Community Engagement. For this presentation, I will use ALS Canada's signature event, the Walk to End ALS, to share with you, kind of as a case study, to share with you how you can implement virtual tools and connect with the community in a deeper way. ALS Canada has a mission to improve the lives of people affected by ALS through support, advocacy, and research for a future without the disease. Like many of the countries across the globe, Canada responded to the earliest cases of COVID-19 with physical distancing restrictions. We had to quickly change our approach to be more nimble, embrace technology, and inspire innovation to continue supporting the community. For fundraising, that meant reimagining and reevaluating our strategies for generating revenue, and thus redefining our much-loved signature event, the Walk to End ALS. The Walk to End ALS is the largest volunteer-led fundraiser for ALS societies across Canada, raising $4 million each year and $2.1 million in Ontario. For this long-standing event series, COVID-19 offered us an opportunity to make change and fast. We worked quickly to answer the burning question, what will WALK look like this year? In 2020, the Walk to End ALS in Ontario was delivered as a one-day virtual event with a strong, engaging online campaign in the weeks leading up. Our goal was to recreate the magic that makes the in-person event so special, a sense of community and connection, and a safe place to celebrate, honor, and show support for the Canadians living with the disease. Today, I will use the Walk to End ALS to tell the story of going virtual. I will walk you through the 7 guiding principles to pivoting a virtual event and dig into the key difference makers to engaging with the community. So to start off is number 1, make the call to go virtual and own it. With the global pandemic, there was uncertainty in most of our life. When will schools reopen? What does this mean for my job, travel? What does it mean for grocery shopping? With so much uncertainty, we wanted to give our community something to hang on to, something they could rely on. So we made the decision to go virtual and reassured the community that they could count on us. The show will go on. The main point we wanted to communicate was we're still here for you. The event might look different, but the community remains. ALS doesn't stop, and neither will we. So for this presentation, I'm going to go through a guiding principle and then your learning. So for the first one, make the call to go virtual and own it. As the pandemic heads into its 2nd year and uncertainty remains across the globe, solid decision-making will be important for your community, and they'll thank you for it. If you're thinking about going virtual or even a hybrid approach as you head into 2021, your audience will appreciate decisiveness. Just be ready with questions, be ready for questions and with training. Number 2, gather stakeholder buy-in. In an effort to bring everyone along with us, we consulted our key people. We worked quickly to try to change from communicating with them to actually having a conversation. This resulted in an agreement in a single-day virtual event in which we could galvanize the whole community together, keep connected in a time of isolation, and amplify the voices of ALS in a time when everything was so much louder. Together, we settled on June 21st, Global ALS Awareness Day, and June Awareness Month, as the perfect symbolic date to unite as one community. Our stakeholders were critical in the decision-making and the ability to move quickly to pivot the event. We also focused on our top fundraisers. We know 20% of participants typically raise 80% of the revenue, so we sought their feedback and got their buy-in and commitment early, which meant securing lion's share of the revenue up front. I will say it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. We still had to manage some outcry and discontent from people who resisted the idea of going virtual. Mostly, they didn't quite understand what it meant, and they had a lot of questions. Once the decision was made to go virtual, we did 2 other things. We used our organizational voice to reinforce the decision and that the safety of our community is our top priority. And then we managed one-to-one interaction. So as we were having those conversations with people, just explain to them what it meant to go virtual and what the benefit and the impact was of continuing to participate. If you're thinking about implementing virtual tools or changing the course of an already existing event, I would suggest running the idea by your key influencers and partners. Their feedback will be valuable, and their buy-in will be priceless in the change. Others will look to them to signal how they should react. If your key influencers react well, your community will embrace it as well. Or continue building a steering committee with a varied group of people. They can help influence strategy and can help prepare you for the response of the communities they represent. Number 3, embrace technology and innovation. Taking a long-standing in-person event into the digital world was daunting. But what was reassuring was the ability to test. For the first time, we could make change and try new things. We could innovate, and we could challenge the status quo in a positive way. We didn't want to be just another organization email in a busy inbox, but we had to consider email was still the tried and true winner of peer-to-peer fundraising. Keeping that in mind, we tried to find other ways to communicate and engage with participants that complemented email and channels that our audience was already familiar with. So that left us with social media. We used Facebook in particular, phone, and traditional mail. These were the aunts and uncles of the communication family. Everyone was expecting them at the holiday dinner. But we didn't really want to stop there. We wanted to understand how can we actually connect with people virtually and figuratively. And that's where technology came in. So we leveraged Zoom for reoccurring meetings so we could meet people face to face. Zoom was the place we also hosted weekly live stream classes for engagement. So we had art classes, yoga classes, things like that. We used GoToWebinar for tailored coaching and fundraising sessions. And then we actually tried texting, both text to communicate with people and then a text to donate campaign. We tried to look beyond the fundraising event and really embraced community engagement as an idea. We focused on building a campaign that would engage people, that would help them feel less isolated during the pandemic. One example was our weekly live stream sessions called Live Well Wednesdays. We went live with an instructor to offer a free class and a chance to connect and see others who were also walking virtually. We made sure to record all of these touch points, anything we did kind of virtually as part of the campaign, and share those after. We did find there was a small segment of our audience that didn't have social media, so we wanted to make sure they felt included. And we continued to share this through email as well. Going virtual really is the opportunity to try new tools or flip a campaign or event on its head, but be careful of doing too much at once. You want to make sure you have enough of the original event so people have some familiarity to hang on to. Your supporters will be open for following the journey with you, but they need reassurance you're there to support them. In our case, we had a strong brand to rely on for familiarity and a community of volunteers, people with ALS, their caregivers, to help keep the dialogue open so that we were hearing both sides and making decisions that worked for everyone. Number 4, focus on hyper-personalized interactions. We identified early that what would be missing from the virtual event that would normally be at an in-person was the ability to actually connect with people, to give your friends hugs, to write on a virtual honor wall. It was critical that we bring this sentiment into the digital world. So how did we do that? Well, phone. Phone allowed us to use data to personalize phone calls to a participant, something like, "Hi Gary, I see you've raised $150 already. Is there anything I can do to help?" We used text. We used a text platform to contact people from our database. These messages were personalized as well, starting with, "Hi, it's Jill from ALS Canada" in the body of the text. And we did this for 2 reasons. We wanted people to feel familiar with us in this new way of communicating, and we wanted to dispel any feelings of spam. Next, we did team kickoff. So teams represent about 75% of overall fundraising. And so we wanted to make sure we did our best to connect with team captains and coach their teams and participants in how to best fundraise in this new environment. So we had a virtual kickoff. We explained what virtual meant, which was the kind of #1 question that was coming to the top. And we also got to know them personally and helped them plan their fun and their fundraising. Then we had our virtual honor wall. This was the digital solution that connected the virtual with the emotional. It's a social tool that collects social media posts using a hashtag. In our case, it was ALSYIWalk, and displays the pictures and messages. So it collects all of these hashtags and displays it really nicely embedded into your website. And so it's really a digital version of your in-person honor wall. This was also the link for bereaved families to re-engage with the walk instead of actually coming to the event. The big takeaway for this guiding principle is wherever you can personalize, try to. Peer-to-peer fundraising is personal, so you should embrace that. Data means that personalization can land, but if it's bad data or unreliable data, consider how you can make it personal in other ways. You know, for us, first name in our database isn't always consistent. On phone, we can make sure, because we're going through records one by one, we can make sure we're getting the data right. If we did a mail merge or an email, we wouldn't. And also assess time and resources. You want to make sure the effort to personalize is worth the time you put in. Number 5, have the courage to try new things. COVID-19 allowed us to bring this event into the digital world while maintaining the magic that makes it so special. But it also allowed us to investigate and invest in new technology. Some of the tools will be staples in our campaign, whether the event stays virtual or not. And these tools would have been very difficult to implement otherwise. But we also embrace the uncertainty that doing things this year might work, but also knowing they might not stick. They might not be a forever investment or a forever change. With that, we are committed to understanding and analyzing the success of each. Because we are investing in them, we are testing them. We want to make sure that we can say, did it work and was it worth the money? One of the learnings we had was our text to give campaign. This is where someone texts, you can see it on the screen there, text the word inspire to 45678, and then a donation gets added to their phone bill and then it gets donated to us. So this was a very low cost campaign to run, but the results were a bit lackluster. We opted for 3 donation amounts, but what it turned out in was a 2-step donation process, and we found we lost about half of our donors before completion. In retrospect, 1 donation amount would have streamlined the process and increased conversions. So although it was a test and we might have to adapt how we do it differently, at least we know how it could be more effective in the future, so not all is lost. So some things to consider. Again, data. If the tool is outside of your database or on a third-party platform, where is the data housed and what are the privacy implications in your country? What is the worst and best case of investing and of testing with your audience? Do you need to build additional resources to make it work, like a frequently asked questions document or any training? And of course, the cost. This is obvious, but is it within your budget? Do you expect to see a return on investment in the fundraising, or are there other benefits you could see, like awareness or stewardship? And then of course, make sure to have a debrief or analysis on that tool or with your team and ask yourself the hard questions. Was it worth it? Did it work? And really be critical, because you want to make sure you're not, that the dollars you are investing, if you have to, is worthwhile. Number 6, create an integrated campaign. Since we made the decision to host the event day on Global Day and an Awareness Month, it meant working hand in hand with our marketing team to integrate messages. We wanted to marry advocacy, awareness, fundraising, hope, and need within one strong campaign. The result for us was a campaign we called 21 Days to Make a Difference. We wanted to be hopeful, accessible, and action-oriented, which would meet the objectives of both fundraising and awareness. So starting June 1st, we would post 1 challenge each day on social media. Some were walk-focused, like Fundraising Fridays. Others were community-focused, Thank a Caregiver Today, or awareness-based, Wear Purple Today. We also armed our volunteers with all of the details ahead of time so they could plan and be ready to support at the local level. We didn't want to lose sight of the importance and value of the community element of these walks. For the duration of the campaign, awareness and event messaging were complementary, and the result was momentum. It was easily shareable content, and it was beautifully designed creative that our participants could see and easily share and be really proud of. This united campaign was the magic to uniting the community. It also helped build excitement towards the final day of the 21 days, the virtual Walk to End Als. A virtual event, of course, means more reliance on digital assets and could result in a noisier experience for your followers and subscribers. So work collaboratively with the rest of your team to ensure you're stepping back and looking at the big picture. What is the experience for the participant here? Can we improve or streamline the messaging, or is there a better way we can work together? These questions are critical because the results are magic if it's done well. This brings us to number 7. Event day, strive for excellence in delivery. In an effort to recreate the in-person event, we followed a similar format digitally. We started off with a start line. We had opening remarks from an MC and our CEO, a government official, and a traditional town crier ringing his bell. Brief, but fun, familiar, and welcoming. Then we had our walk. We gave people 1 hour to go walk, whatever that looked like for them in COVID. We encouraged them to share their experience, either pictures or videos with us during that 1 hour on social media so we could see each other across the province. Then we gathered together again virtually on Facebook for the finish line, the virtual finish line. 1 hour of entertainment. We had a magician, a musician, we had remarks from our CEO, we had stories from the ALS community. We kept it to 1 hour because we know how difficult it can be to sit in front of a screen. We embraced the power of being together at a walk for the first time. Normally we have about 30 walks in different communities on different dates across the province. And so this was the momentum of one community coming together and rallying around one day. And tuning in together amid a pandemic for support, for celebration, sharing, and grieving was really, really powerful. I'll admit, even on the back end, there was a lot of tears. All that to say, excellence in event day delivery is the icing on the cake. Event day is what people fundraise for and what they remember when they're signing up next year. So investing in the experience and really making sure that you're doing it right will pay off. So some learnings would be to build a solid lineup and look back with the lens of the participant. Are we delivering what we promised? And are we doing the best to recreate a community event day? Some other considerations, if you do choose to go this route, set a rehearsal for your kind of main event and record it just in case. If something goes wrong with the live stream on event day, you can share your screen and share the recording. Make sure your fundraising website is supported. People will feel the love and feel compelled to donate. And you'll want to make sure your tech team is on standby to resolve any issues. And of course, prepare for customer service. Identify all the ways someone can get in touch. Is it shared inboxes? Is it direct messages on social media? If anyone has any concerns or issues, you can help them resolve it. And if everything goes as planned, you can sit back and enjoy the ride. So what did this all mean for the Walk to End ALS? In our post-event survey for participants, 2 themes rose to the top. People were grateful we had something instead of canceling, and people were impressed with the something that we came up with. Of course, there was little things we can improve along the way, but overall, the virtual event was well received. While we didn't raise the $2.1 million in Ontario that we were planning for pre-COVID-19, we were thrilled with the results. We raised $1.25 million in Ontario in a first ever virtual event. We asked and the community did deliver. We did all of this in 81 days. I might sound like we had precision planning and all the time and resources in the world to make it happen, but this was the remarkable result of a community coming together, embracing change fast, and looking to the future, one we hope is without ALS. Our rally cry remains true. ALS doesn't stop, and neither will we. That wraps up my session, my very quick session on how COVID-19 helped us challenge the status quo in community engagement. I am available live, so if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. I would like to thank you very much for joining this presentation, and I hope it helps in your community event, community engagement planning for next year and beyond. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Natalie. That was an excellent presentation. And from the comments that I'm seeing, people were very inspired by what it was that the team was able to create. Maybe if I could ask you a question, it's really about how do you take this and what do you do with it for the future? And how are you thinking about what's next for the walk as it's such a special event?
Thanks, Tammy. That's a really good question. So we have made the decision for 2021 to go virtual again. We were kind of considering, do we try to do in person? Do we also plan a virtual? And what we decided is providing our community with certainty is the most important thing in so much uncertainty. So we are going forward with that plan. That being said, our approach across most revenue channels is to be digital first, so that we have that foundation of the ability to pivot should we need to.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Natalie. We really appreciate the presentation and for your comments. And for anybody that would like further information, please feel free to be in touch with Natalie. I know that she loves to share. It was a great experience.
Thanks, Tammy.